Think about this. It's 2018, and Brandon Moreno, a fighter from Tijuana, Mexico, stands at a crossroads. He's just been cut from the UFC, the biggest stage in mixed martial arts, after a string of tough losses. Most people would have hung up their gloves, called it quits, and faded into the shadows. But not Brandon. With fire in his eyes and a heart full of grit, he stepped up to a microphone and delivered a line that would echo through the years.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, and maybe not the next month, pero only one thing is true. I will be champion one day, I promise. I promise.
It wasn't just bravado, it was a promise to himself. Fast forward to 2021, and there he was, choking out Davison Figueiredo to claim the UFC flyweight title, proving that unshakable belief and relentless effort can turn dreams into reality. Today we're talking about motivation, how to find it, hold on to it, and use it to chase down your own championship moments, no matter how many times life knocks you down, so we can stay energized and possess boundless drive to pursue any goal we set our minds to. When it comes to motivation, it's impossible not to mention David Goggins, a living icon of drive and determination. That's why we'll explore this through the incredible story of David Goggins. Born in 1975 into a black family in Buffalo, New York, Goggins grew up in an environment shadowed by fear, dominated by a violent father who brutally beat his wife and children. The abuse was so severe that the family lived in constant dread that someone might lose their life to his father's relentless lashings. At the age of 8, Goggins' mother took him and his brother to escape, fleeing to their grandparents' home in rural Indiana. "For the first time in my life, we escaped the devil," Goggins wrote in his memoir. So how did David Goggins transform his life from such harrowing beginnings to achieve extraordinary feats? Where did he find the motivation, discipline, and resilience to keep pushing forward relentlessly for over 20 years? What does he know that we don't? The short answer lies in his brain. It's brimming with dopamine. Goggins didn't study dopamine's mechanics. He just stumbled into harnessing it brilliantly. The new life in Indiana brought its own struggles beyond poverty. At school, David Goggins was diagnosed with a learning disability. He returned home each day anxious and stressed, a target of bullying. "As a dishonest student, I cheated my way through school, copying assignments from 4th grade until the end of high school because I couldn't grasp the material," he confessed. As a black kid, Goggins faced vicious racial discrimination from classmates, including the father of a white girl he had a crush on. Then came another tragic milestone. His mother's new love, a kind man who treated Goggins like his own son and was set to become his stepfather, was shot dead right outside their home. By his early 20s, Goggins was battling asthma, a learning disability, a stutter, and crippling self-doubt alongside a host of fears. At 22, he weighed 130 kilograms, about 286 pounds, and earned less than $1,000 a month spraying pesticide to kill cockroaches. He reflected, "Very few people understand the reality of those living in desperate poverty, hitting rock bottom like I did. It's like you're standing in mud, sinking deeper the more you struggle." Yet, against all odds, at 24, he shed 48 kilograms, over 100 pounds, in just 3 grueling months, conquered his fear of water, and joined the US Navy as a SEAL. David Goggins became the first and only American to complete 3 elite military distinctions: Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, and Air Force Tactical Air Controller. In 2013, he set a Guinness World Record by performing 4,030 pull-ups in 17 relentless hours, an achievement that pushed his body to the brink, with his hands bleeding and muscles screaming, yet he kept going. He's also tackled over 70 of the world's toughest marathons and ultramarathons, often placing in the top 5 and claiming first place multiple times. Now 48, Goggins could easily retire to a life of luxury and comfort, but he refuses to rest on his laurels. He still seeks out the most grueling challenges he can find, and it turns out that's how he rewards himself. So, what's dopamine? It's a molecule in our brain and body intricately tied to our sense of motivation. The simplest way to think about it is this. When our dopamine levels spike, we feel excited and driven. We're confident, ready to act, alert and focused. We crave and pursue goals that stretch beyond ourselves. It's the fuel that propels us toward what we want, giving us what feels like infinite energy to get up, move, and achieve. Conversely, when dopamine dips, we become lazy, procrastinate, and lose motivation. We're less interested in chasing our goals and feel physically sluggish and drained. Dopamine is a double-edged sword in neuroscience, a tiny molecule that shapes both the best and worst parts of our lives. It sparks our desire for what we don't yet have, pushing us to seek novelty. It fuels enthusiasm and drive, but it's also the master puppeteer behind addiction. Mastering this double-edged sword can mean the difference between having the motivation to chase life's grandest ambitions or getting tangled in fleeting, shallow rewards. We'll dive deeper into dopamine's fascinating nature in another video. Today, though, we're focusing on how David Goggins unwittingly tapped into one of its most intriguing traits to maintain relentless motivation. How David Goggins harnesses dopamine's subjective power. According to Professor Andrew Huberman from Stanford Medical School, dopamine has a captivating feature. It's subjective. It's released in response to fixed behaviors like eating, drinking, sex, warmth when we're cold, or coolness when we're overheated. But more importantly, it's also triggered by what we personally believe is good for us. When we convince ourselves we're doing something beneficial, dopamine floods in, boosting our motivation. This is precisely how Goggins manipulates his mindset to balance dopamine and sustain long-term drive. Goggins holds a fierce belief. Whenever I feel afraid, I know I'm on the right path, making progress, and I won't give up. While others flee from challenges and dodge fear, Goggins embraces it. The more difficulties and fears he faces, the stronger his conviction grows that he's heading in the right direction. And that's when dopamine kicks in. That's his secret. He draws healthy dopamine from effort itself, turning the process into joy and reward. He acknowledges his emotions, fear, doubt, but refuses to let them dictate his actions. He pushes through fear, reframing how he perceives what he feels. This became his habit, propelling him further. Each time he overcomes fear and his own limits, he feels progress, a sensation reinforced by dopamine. For instance, during his record-breaking pull-up challenge, spectators noted how Goggins smiled through the pain at times, muttering to himself, "This is what I'm built for." That mindset shift turned agony into fuel, a real-time example of dopamine at work. Let's look at a recent study to see just how potent our subjective thinking is. Researchers randomly split 65 college students into groups, telling them they'd receive either caffeine or Adderall, a stimulant far stronger than caffeine. Both substances trigger dopamine release through different neural pathways, heightening alertness and focus. Students told they were getting Adderall reported distinct effects compared to those told they got caffeine. They felt more refreshed and performed better on memory tests, aligning with the cognitive boosts expected from Adderall, even though everyone received only caffeine. They genuinely experienced heightened performance simply because they believed they'd taken the stronger drug. This proves that our subjective beliefs directly influence dopamine release. Professor Huberman highlights another study published in Nature Neuroscience showing that hearing something aligning with our prior beliefs can spark dopamine. Our perception of something, whether it's exciting or not, shapes our experience of it. We can boost dopamine and motivation for an activity by tweaking our thoughts and words about it in daily life. Take running. If you tell yourself, "I hate this, but I have to," you're punishing yourself. But if you say, "I'm choosing this because it makes me stronger," you're rewarding yourself. Dopamine flows, and the run feels less brutal. Huberman explains in a podcast, "It's not about doing the same thing day after day. It's pausing after milestones to tell yourself, I'm on the right track." When we stop to acknowledge our efforts on the path to our goals, recognizing we're laying the groundwork for bigger wins, we reinforce our inner happiness. Without this, relentlessly chasing goals without appreciating our progress depletes our energy. Our brains tire, our bodies lag, and dopamine dwindles. By valuing our efforts, we release dopamine, sparking excitement that drives us further. This makes challenges meaningful. This mirrors how Navy SEALs are trained to become the planet's highest-performing teams. Aspiring SEALs endure a trial called surf torture, lying in freezing waves for hours, unsure when or how it'll end. Rich Divini, a former SEAL commander, recalls, "During surf torture, everything hurt. But then I realized the cold was actually soothing my aching muscles. The moment I thought that, it got so much easier. I found reward right there in the icy water. My brain pumped out dopamine, and I even felt satisfied." A SEAL teammate once shared a similar epiphany during Hell Week, noting how reframing the misery as a test of grit turned it into a game he could win, another dopamine victory. So whether it's a fitness goal or a career ambition, subtle mindset shifts make a huge difference. We tie victory to pain, fear, and effort itself. We can even tell ourselves, "I like this. I'm doing it because it's what I want," during tough tasks. You might wonder, isn't this self-deception? It's not. It's moving from "I have to," punishment, to "I enjoy this," reward. Neurologically, "I have to" drains us. "I enjoy this" energizes us. That's the trick to managing dopamine for motivation. It doesn't bore or sadden us. It makes what we do easier and more fun. This ties directly to the concept of a growth mindset, popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck in her best-selling book, Mindset: The New Psychology of Success. Check it out if you haven't. At its core, a growth mindset sees struggle and effort as the ultimate goal, not just the outcome or reward. By shifting focus from final rewards to the process, we release dopamine along the journey, helping us embrace discipline, hard work, and fear while staying enthusiastic and driven. Yet, most of us don't love hard work. We grind for specific rewards, but working hard just for a delayed prize makes the task tougher. It turns our journey into a painful slog we endure for the payoff. Focusing on rewards also reduces our ability to tackle harder tasks later. We'll need bigger carrots to keep going. To see this clearly, consider an experiment at Stanford University. Kids who loved drawing were given gold stars for each finished artwork. At first, they drew for pure joy, but when the stars stopped, guess what? Their natural enjoyment faded. Focus shifted from the act to the reward. Their brains decided, "We're not doing this because we like it, we're doing it for the prize." Obsessing over the finish line can kill our intrinsic joy and motivation. Worse, reward chasing prolongs suffering because dopamine also governs time perception. The dopamine in our brain affects how we experience time. Say you're exercising and banking on a treat afterward, like a chocolate bar or bubble tea. That anticipation stretches your sense of time, making it feel endless. You'll think, why isn't this workout over yet? Why haven't I hit 5K? When rewards come later, our brain disconnects dopamine from the activity itself. Normally, dopamine weaves into our daily tasks, but waiting for a final prize severs that link. This weakens our ability to enjoy what we're doing, amplifying the pain, like feeling every second of a brutal gym session, and risks leaving us too dopamine depleted to finish. David Goggins, though, has a profound intrinsic motivation. He doesn't rely on external rewards. His reward lies in the effort, in facing his challenges head-on. He's used his life story to show us we can surpass our perceived limits if we believe in ourselves. We might not dream of running brutal marathons or setting pull-up records over 17 hours, but by cultivating joy and reward from effort, we build faith that even if we can't do something now, with persistence, we'll get there. That's when the universe's mightiest reward, dopamine, stands with us. Picture Goggins during an ultramarathon, mile 80, legs like lead, yet he's grinning, telling himself, "This is living." That's not madness. It's dopamine from effort, not a medal. There's so much more to dopamine I can't cover in this episode. I'll share more in future ones. I'll keep bringing it up because dopamine, more than any other chemical, leaves its fingerprint on every facet of our lives. It steers our path, and mastering this double-edged sword determines whether we chase life's grand goals or get snared by fleeting, flimsy rewards. If you enjoyed this content, please hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for my latest videos on this topic. Got questions, feedback, or comments? Drop them below. I'd love to improve future episodes, and I'm so grateful for your input. I hope this video helps you. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.